Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Good.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
In answer to his question about the subjects.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Oh, what a compliment. For that, I thank you.
What is happening now? There are hopeless and hungry.
Now it's time for us to stand up for God or we fall to nothing.
It's time now for Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Listening to the general public, what the public is saying.
And good afternoon, Radio Cayman Nation, and I'm very happy to. Thank you for tuning into your station of the nation, Radio Cayman. I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We have a full lineup today, including Miss Cayman, Miss Georgina Kerford, Meals on Wheels, and later in the show, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Lee. As always, we do welcome your stories, feedback, and questions, and invite you to join the conversation. Simply dial 1-800-534-8255. That's 1-800-534-TALK, or 949-8037, or if you prefer WhatsApp, 925-3261. Back with more Talk Today following this very brief disclaimer.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Live Communication.
Let your voice be heard.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Very pleased to have in studio our current Miss Cayman and future Miss Universe, Miss Georgina Kerford, and Miss Derry. Welcome to Talk Today.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. It is afternoon.
Afternoon, yeah. Afternoon.
We're not in Israel yet. Time hasn't changed just yet. So, big news. We're heading off to Israel in a very few short weeks.
No, a week tomorrow.
A week tomorrow?
Yes, so 8 days, and I'll be on my way to Israel.
Exciting. Especially during, modern times. I'm not going to say the C word. You can't say that anymore on the air, that C word. But 2 months ago, we recently crowned you.
Yes.
How does it feel? How were the past 2 months? Walk us through that first.
The past 2 months have honestly been amazing with the love, the support, the advice going to Miss Universe from the past Miss Caymans and from people all around the world. It has been a little challenging because since of COVID, I know I shouldn't say that word, but I haven't been able to go into the community as much as I wanted to, interact with the schools and the younger generation and be just more involved. But obviously I want to be safe, and I definitely want to go to Israel and compete and make Cayman proud. So you got to take, you got to weigh your pros and cons and figure out which one you want to do.
No, absolutely. And so just for all of our listeners at home or anybody who's watching in, Miss Derry and Miss Georgina are wearing their masks. I found out right before the show some tricky news. I mean, it's a scenario where if you were to contract, or if someone were to contract COVID, any of the contestants before the pageant, you're automatically disqualified from competing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that's a bit nerve-wracking.
It is.
Yes, it is.
But which is why we've actually reduced quite a bit of Georgina's appearances and
Sure.
events and so forth, and we've been focusing more like on photo shoots and training. She's gotten a lot of training, namely from Caitlin Tyson, the reading, former, I should say, Miss Cayman Islands Universe 2018, Laura Panades, which is a teacher at the law school here locally, and Lou Sierra, which is a pageant coach at the Miss Universe organization. So that's what she's been doing.
So I had to ask, what did the law school instructor teach you?
We were doing public speaking, and she gave me. We went over, education, mental health. We did a whole topic about Israel and what's going on over there.
Sure.
Some Israelis, so I can be more interactive with the girls over there and the natives. So much, skills. We had to practice being under 30 seconds, which is a lot more nerve-wracking than here in Cayman because there's no time limit. So really just narrowing it down, making sure I want to say what I want to say in the amount of time.
I guess it really is important. Every word is measured, right?
Yes.
Kind of like a judge in court. I guess that's exactly what you have a law instructor.
Yeah.
Like every word is actually
Words
measured.
could make you or break you, huh?
They can, absolutely. Especially when you're especially, and we were talking before the show, but this is a pageant or a contest that you really have a personable experience with the contestants and the judges and the public at large. But this year, and under such strict circumstances, do you feel limited in your ability? I know you mentioned that you aren't able to do as many appearances here. Do you feel it's going to impact, or that it has an impact on contestants going into the pageant?
I have talked to some of the girls overseas, and it has been challenging because, here in Cayman, we would normally go to Miami or New York and get outfits or gowns and stuff, and other girls are saying the same thing. It has limited their opportunity of getting as much exposure as possible. But I'm so thankful for social media and Zoom, because without that, we wouldn't have, like this morning, I had an interview with someone from Thailand, and if we didn't have all this, that wouldn't be possible. So definitely social media is one of our biggest platforms for all the girls, and we're just trying to keep posted with our lives and keep everyone, on the day-to-day lives so that we can still feel connected to everyone.
Good for you.
Yes.
So next big question is, you're 18, one of the younger Miss Caymans.
In 30 years.
In 30 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the contestant
Effie
list.
Banks was the last, one of the youngest, actually, or the youngest, and she's now taken that mantle and running with it.
Yes.
Which is because I was looking at the international list, and there's only 2 18-year-olds on the entire list of 77 countries, I believe.
Yeah.
The other one being from BVI. So you're not only the youngest one in Cayman, you're actually now representing Cayman as an 18-year-old amongst a much older bracket. How does that make you feel?
Everyone's like, you must feel intimidated. I'm like, why would I feel intimidated? I have the same chance as all of the rest of the girls. I'm going there to represent my country, and I'm going to do amazing.
And that's just how dynamic she is.
Yeah.
I mean, she's fierce, and we saw that in her, So we're all very pleased, the committee and myself, and really look forward to Georgina representing us, watching her on stage.
No, absolutely. Now, will any part of the Miss Universe pageant be online, or will everything, when I mean that online, while you're actually there during the pageant, will any of it actually be done via Zoom there, or is everything still going to be done in person? Are they changing any of the formats to how the pageant's done?
I think, there will be some change to the format, and pretty much everyone will be in a bubble, which was pretty much how it was back in May when Mariah Tibbetts represented us in Hollywood. So, they're actually, once they get there, and I'm pretty sure Georgina can tell you a bit more about that as well, that she'll be quarantining for like 24 hours, and then she'll have to do a test, and then she'll go and register, and then she'll have to also do another test again before the pageant, as well as the national directors like myself and others that are traveling with me will have to do tests as well, and there'll obviously be spacing, so there won't be like a full arena or auditorium as they would normally be at the pageants. They may be like 2 people at one end of row, and another 2 people at the other end of the row, that sort of thing. So it's not like the usual hype feeling that you would have at a pageant.
Yeah, a lot of it's kind of been scaled back.
But it'll still be great, because obviously it'll be aired in Fox, and people here can watch.
And Telemundo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Steve Harvey will still be
Yes, I think he is.
Yeah, that's what I looked
He
up
is the
on.
host.
Which is kind of,
I know.
Yeah.
He just keeps coming back for more.
he's just glutton for punishment, right?
I know. I'll never forget that year in Vegas. I felt terrible for him. I don't know, myself and Donna Bush. We went to the pageant that year and like, oh my God, I don't think anybody feels as bad as Steve Harvey tonight.
I was trying not to laugh at everyone.
He bounced back. Perfectly.
He bounced back great. It's
Yeah, but that's everything in life. You know, you can make mistakes happen, and especially with social media, like you said, what you say can make it or break it. But he just came back and still did amazing.
Yes.
He did. I think everyone can remember like the look in his face when
He
was told, right?
He was
he
upset because
he
when
was.
all the cameras had like sort of turned off and you had that break, he was just really letting them have it.
Yeah, that icy look when he just he saw the card and he's realizing that the mistake was made. And anyhow, one of those challenging moments for any person with a microphone in front of them. So, but you're absolutely right. It's not how you fall or how hard you
It's
fall.
how you get back up.
It's how many times you can get back up, right? It's that Rocky mentality.
Yeah.
It's not how hard you hit, it's how many times you can get back up after being hit, right?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
no, absolutely. It's but from your standpoint, from an organizing standpoint, sorry.
It's okay. That's fine. I don't have COVID.
No. You have to disclaim that. You can't cough in public anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of goes, ah.
Oh my God, I know.
The with regards to yourself and the organizing committee and just the logistics of going through this year, obviously it's a very challenging one. Any lessons learned from your side on this whole experience and how things have really just kind of changed?
I think we have to be prepared at any time for anything. That's what it really taught us. Yeah. We usually have a huge production, every year. I mean, it started from 2019 where we actually had to do a crowning instead of a pageant. We crowned Mariah Tibbetts, our first runner-up, as they gave us an opportunity, the Miss Universe organization, to allow her to enter the Miss Universe pageant. So that was very different for us. We were like, okay, we can't have a pageant this year because 2020 was like just one of those years that just seems to be completely written off. But
yes.
so we had to make some adjustments there, and we had a beautiful crowning for Mariah. And then, of course, this year, we'd sold at least, I don't know, maybe 400 tickets. We were having the pageant at we had the pageant at the Westin. And then all of a sudden, the government made the best decision to actually reduce the number of people to attending indoor events. And so we went from having 500 people at a pageant to 100 on the inside. And we were still able to accommodate about 200 on the outside, thankfully, all with spacing and everything. But then we had to also look at, how are we're going to have to make this a bit virtual now,
Sure.
So a production that would have probably been, you would have seen it being streamed on our IG page, on Facebook page, and, some other media platforms. Then we had to look at, okay, how we can do this, virtual to really make it seem like a really, dynamic production. And we were able to pull that off.
In a very short time frame.
Within a week.
Very short time frame.
I mean, we worked tirelessly, some of us, to make this happen, along with, the production teams like GIS and Matt Brown and his team.
Yes, absolutely.
And Hopscotch, and we're very grateful to them. And, so that really taught us that, we just have to be resilient and prepared and flexible and adaptable.
Stay on your toes. On your tippy toes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we've learned now that, we can maneuver around any type of situation.
Absolutely. Good for you.
For us, we were actually training on the Friday night, and we all checked in, got everything sorted, expecting that the pageant was going to happen on Saturday. So all of us had our dresses out, makeup out, everything was out. And then after the rehearsal, Miss Derry came in, sat all of us down, and was like, okay, it's postponed. And all of us were like, oh my gosh, really? What happened? Because we were all rehearsing, so we didn't get the news about COVID. And I think it was a blessing in disguise for me personally. And I think a lot of the girls actually were thankful that it was a week after, and because we'd still continue doing the interview in the morning on the Saturday, but we didn't do the pageant. So a lot of us could say, we've got one part of it out of the way. It's just the pageant night, which I think was really, really good the way they did that this year. And it was just, so many emotions on Friday night. All of us were like, okay, we can sleep in. And then they realized, no, we have the interview in the morning. So it was just all a bunch of mixed emotions, but the team did great with adjusting and helping all of us out. So thank you to the committee.
Yes,
What a challenging scenario to go in and...
I know,
That's
because
Steve
here
Harvey,
we have
right?
these girls, and then on the headlines, the Miss Cayman Islands Universe pageant is pending, and that's never
everyone
happened
was-
before, so that'll go down in history, I'm sure.
Yes.
So here
No,
we are,
absolutely,
just waiting. Okay, are we really going to have a pageant? But we had a faith that we would.
Yes.
And you
have
did. You
that.
pulled it off, and
Yeah.
next step is Miss Universe.
Yes.
All right, we want to hear more about that in just a moment. We're back with more talk today, right after a short commercial break.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
At Subway, we caramel a lot about our customers, so we decided to give you 2 treats in one with the new Caramel Apple Cookie. Enjoy cinnamon apples, caramel bits, and salted caramel crunch baked in, and topped with a drizzle of caramel-flavored icing. Gooey, crunchy, and yummy. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious Caramel Apple Cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert, available for limited time at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
You can now register online to receive a securely verified digital copy of your COVID-19 vaccination status with QR code through the MyHSA patient portal. Sign up is available online and at all HSA locations. All you need is your photo ID showing date of birth and an email address. Visit hsa.ky and click the MyHSA patient portal icon to get started.
Now open on the sister island, Brack Medical Supplies. Located at 403 Gerard Smith Avenue, next to the Alexander Hotel. Open Tuesday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Telephone number 948-2228. Brack Medical Supplies.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And again, pleased to have in studio our future Miss Universe, Miss Georgina, along with Miss Derry. And we're here. We have in 8 days, I believe you mentioned, we're heading off to around the world.
Yes, it is. I'm really excited. It's a long travel to get there. That's why we're leaving a little earlier, because I've had some people reach out to me and say, why are you going so early? But, Cayman and Israel is very far from. So I'm really glad for the people who are coming with me. I'm so excited to meet all the girls, Miss Israel, and all her people as well.
So who from Cayman
We're
is
all
going?
excited to meet the Israelis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an exciting trip. I mean, at 18 years old,
Yes.
to say you're flying half around the world on a family vacation is one thing. To say you're going across the big pond
competing
to
at Miss
compete
Universe.
and represent your country in an international forum like this, in an international jurisdiction like Israel, that's a major, major
accomplishment
for anyone,
Yeah.
let alone being 18. I know people keep referencing your age, but it actually it's a huge milestone. You're still in college, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I haven't done that. I'm 41.
Yeah.
No, but everyone was.
It's a lot of traveling, because
It is.
let them know your route.
So from here we go from Grand Cayman to Miami, and then Miami straight to Germany, and Germany to Israel. And on the way back, we will be going a different route. I'm still just trying to get the correct way
I think
back.
it's Newark. I think she's coming from Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv to
to Newark, and then on
New York to Miami, and Miami back to Grand
and
Cayman.
then we'll recoup in Miami for a day or so. We'll be back
So you at
here on
least-
the 17th of
You got
December.
one day to decompress from
Yes.
that big trip.
Yes. So Georgina leaves on the 24th of November.
Okay.
And normally we would invite people to come out to, for the great send-off. But obviously with COVID going and everything, we want to limit the numbers, we don't want to,
Sure.
promote a huge gathering and then something happens. So yeah, she'll be leaving on the 24th of November and returning on the 17th of December.
So a week tomorrow.
Now, with all the, I'm not going to say the C word, with all the precautionary measures that are being put in place, one for travel, one for the actual pageant itself, how does that affect you? Like you mentioned before the show that there's a little bubble being kind of put around all the contestants, probably more so than normal. How does that make you feel having to go through the bubble again?
I feel great about it. It's still an opportunity. And because I got to work with Travel Cayman here in the Cayman Islands, I know how to keep myself safe and people around me. But as well, they say you're keeping a bubble, but that one person who's in your bubble can be in somebody else's bubble and keep mingling. So you can be doing your part, but someone else can be, destroying your little bubble. So you have to be really precautious of who you're with, the amount of people that you're going out with. You might take your mask off for a second and think you're fine. You never know what's going to happen. But, being in such a small, Cayman was a bubble alone. It's going to be interesting to go and see how other countries are living right now. I know we have social media and we're keeping up with the news, but actually being there and feeling the stress of how other people are living and how the way they have to adapt is going to be very interesting, and it's going to give me a lot of knowledge to see how the world is still handling this.
And as far as the testing regimen, whether it's LFT or PCR testing, do you have to test every day, or how does that work with regards to your...
Well, definitely, we're still going to do the procedures here in Cayman where you have to get tested 48 hours before you leave on any flight, and that's the same with all areas around the world, especially Israel. You have to have a negative PCR test to enter, and you have to be vaccinated to enter if you're not from there. So I'm not sure how the Miss Universe organization is going to have it, but I think they're going to have it. They were probably going to get tested every week or every couple of days. Definitely when we arrive, we're going to do a 24-hour lockdown for all the girls, and right before the final competition, we'll get tested. So they're definitely keeping us in a safe environment, and they know that the risk that is at hand. So I feel pretty confident, and I know if they don't do their part, I'm going to do mine to keep myself safe and my family here in Cayman.
Good for you.
Yeah, we all want to get back here safely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a daunting. Now, as far as the, I'm sure some of our listeners, when I first saw that the pageant was going to be held in Israel, I believe there was some discussion of possible Costa Rica earlier on.
Yes.
In the conversation
there was some
period.
Discussions, around Costa Rica.
And then
hopefully we can have it here one day.
One day, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I think
that would be awesome. I think this is a perfect location.
It is, absolutely.
For a pageant. And, sometimes you go to some of these host countries and you'll have the hotel where the contestants are staying at, and then the directors are staying like 15 minutes away or 16 minutes away because there's, all the hotels are booked out by,
Sure.
or they may not have any hotels around that area. And, having a pageant here in Cayman, as you know, along the 7 Mile Strip, everything is just walking distance, so it's very, I think that's a huge perk along with the, it's such a beautiful location as well.
Can you imagine organizing the Miss Universe pageant?
Yeah, I can imagine.
All right. So
I can imagine.
You have the dream already.
Yes.
You've mapped this out.
Yes.
And Steve Harvey's been here before. Didn't he do a show one time?
Yes.
At the Comfort Suites one year?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So he knows his way around the...
Yeah.
He loves Cayman. Apparently he used to come here golfing all the time.
Well, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and even the Miss Universe organization themselves, they love the Cayman Islands and they want to visit as well. So hopefully that'll happen soon.
That'd be exciting.
Yes,
very exciting.
It would.
I want to give a big shout out to the Cayman Islands government, our main sponsor, the Minister of Tourism, and Minister Brian for all of his support.
Without this, I wouldn't be going to Israel. So yes, thank you.
He's been very supportive.
And we were
talking,
pageant.
Absolutely.
And we couldn't do it, as Georgina said, without them and the funding as our main sponsor, and all the other sponsors like yourselves, Radio Cayman.
There's
Cayman Airways.
There's so many.
Cayman Airways. We also have Compass Media as well. Sure. That support us wholeheartedly. Oh my God, there's so much. Kurt Freeport. How can I forget Kurt Freeport? Sand Angels. And I'm sure Georgina has obviously onboarded quite a few sponsors.
Yes.
As well.
Definitely. got
people have been
Fashion
very
Mart,
generous.
Hesha, a lot of. I
Fashion
really
Mart,
wanted
yes,
to
Fashion Mart.
make sure that I got some local designers with me and some, support local. So I have a couple of
Ooh La La,
sponsors.
we can't forget Ooh La
Yes,
La.
yes,
Lana
Ooh La.
Kayaso has been very supportive. Thanks, Lana.
Yes. So I wanted to bring that. And VIP, she has a little business as well. I just wanted to bring a lot of help the local people out because, I'm not going to go overseas and wear, of course I want to wear other people, but I'm going to be true to who I am and true to my little island.
Absolutely. And Carrie Palmer Closet as
So
well.
yes, as well. She's been amazing.
Yeah.
I've got some really, really cool outfits there, so I can't wait to show everyone when I'm in Israel.
I was going to say,
Yes.
are you going to be using anything?
She has an amazing wardrobe this year.
Yes. And I'm not telling anyone my national costume. I keep getting questions.
I was just going to ask the question.
that's going to be
It's a surprise. Everyone's asking, but I can tell you that it's definitely going to be a challenge to beat Mariah because hers was absolutely beautiful. They really came up with something that really represented Cayman, and no one else had something as amazing as what she had.
But it's the same designer this year, which is going to be,
Great.
I'm pretty sure you're going to rock the stage.
Yes.
And
It's colorful. It represents
Yes.
Cayman 100%. Every Caymanian will know what it is.
So Danielle Watler, as you know, from Renegade
Yes.
Bass. I can't remember the name of her company, actually, outside of that. But anyway, a lot of people know Danielle. She's
Yes.
very talented. So she's actually designing the costume this year.
Yes.
Any other teas besides colorful
It's
and
colorful,
Cayman?
and everyone in Cayman will know what it is.
Yeah.
You're not giving us a whole lot to go off.
No. Of
trying
course,
I'm
we're
trying
going to
get
be a
guessing game.
surprise.
I'm gonna give us something. We got to guess here, man.
Yeah.
Trust me, when you
One
see
more
it,
hint.
it's going to be big.
All right. We'll take that one.
Amazing.
Big and amazing. We can
Yes.
take that. We'll try to figure out what it could be from that.
Yeah.
That's, it's an exciting. So there's that outfit.
There's a national costume, preliminaries, and finals. And obviously, you have your swimsuits, your gowns, and when you go on excursions, I'm going to wear some stuff from Cayman and some stuff from international. So it's just going to be really exciting.
We have an international designer, Anaz.
An Indonesian designer, yes.
Yes, from Indonesia. And so he actually designed one of her gowns this year, as well as Uzuri International, their
Jamaican
designer who actually owns the Miss Jamaica Universe franchise as well.
Oh,
so
okay.
she'll have a gown from them.
My dress from Miss Cayman's Universe was from them, so
yes,
I have full faith that my one for Miss Universe is going to look amazing.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Very talented. So, yeah, she's going to be very prepared in terms of her wardrobe. I think we've stepped it up like 3,000 notches this year. It's going to be,
How do you transport the big costume to Israel?
Well, apparently this year we're going to be taking it in my suitcases. I'm really interested to see how that's going to happen and make sure it fits. But, we're going to figure out a way to make it work. We always do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we said it was big and amazing, and then I said, you have to travel through.
But it's also portable.
It is portable.
There you go.
You can take it down into little pieces.
Yeah. We're getting more hints here.
Yeah.
I'm fishing out the information. You can assemble it if need
It's
be.
portable. So
All
we'll
right.
definitely...
On that note, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll hear a little bit more about this upcoming 70th anniversary of the Miss Universe contest. Back at North Talk today, right after this.
Savannah Pharmacy. Shop local and get a head start on your Christmas shopping. For ladies' handbags, clothes, shoes, fragrance, candles, and cosmetics with the newest Farmhouse Fresh line of skincare. For the gentlemen, clothes, shoes, fragrances, gift sets, and toys and games for the kids. Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
20 years.
Remember when Crew Road had no median and Linford Pearson was only 2 lanes?
We do.
When Dirty Reeds was down the street?
We do.
We have been there for the falls, the growth, and the rise. When your body and mind needed to change, Powerhouse Gym has been here. We've skated with you. Your first date, your daughter's first time on skates, your son's first strike. From football to squash, to karate and hockey, to bowling and concerts, and everything in between.
For 20 years.
So much has changed, some for the good and some not so much. Through it all, King Sports Center has been here for you, for Cayman.
King Sports Center, celebrating 20 years as Cayman's home for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
We are in the hurricane season, and knowing what to do after a hurricane can be as important as preparing for the storm. After the passage of a hurricane, seek medical attention if it is needed at hospitals and clinics for those persons who are injured. Do not touch power lines and cables that are down. They may be active. Report them to 911 or the utilities emergency hotlines. Broken tree limbs should be removed from around homes or buildings if possible. This hurricane information has been brought to you by Breeze FM and Radio Cayman.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And again, pleased to have in studio Miss Georgina and Miss Derry from Miss Cayman Islands Committee. Miss Georgina is heading off to, and Miss Derry is heading off to Israel later next week, 8 days, to represent Cayman at the Miss Universe pageant. Yes. Exciting times. So I have 3 random questions, completely different questions altogether. Okay. One, the more serious one first, is you're heading off to Israel. There's, while it's not in an immediate conflict zone, it does have a history of conflict. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the security levels that might be different than traveling freely here in Cayman versus probably traveling under armed guard while you're in Israel? Mm. How does that make you feel?
Well, growing up in Cayman, it has really opened my eyes, and working in the hotel industry, that you have to have respect for people, and it really disappointed me when other countries and other religions would come here and disrespect the Caymanians for what they would do. And I learned that, meeting Christians, Muslims, Jewish people all have different religions. So when you go to another country, you have to respect what they do, how they do it, and their religion. So I feel that I've done my research. I understand, what I should do, what I should not do, how to dress, how to speak. You need to have your information up, even coming here to Cayman and going around the world. And I know the Miss Universe organization is going to make sure that all of us females are going to be safe and not feel that there aren't any threats. But I'm just really excited, and I'm glad that my public speaker gave me a lot of information about Israel.
Excellent.
Yes.
Derry, same question. How do you feel about this experience heading into Israel versus Costa Rica?
I know. At first, I guess it was up in the air a bit, like, okay, are they really going to do it in Israel? And, there's certain, bits in the news here now around Eilat and South Africa, Miss South Africa getting a lot of pressure not to enter the pageant. And so there's that concern. It is some concern there, obviously. But I can say, though, just based on me going to the pageant over the years and going back to when, the pageant was in Manila, Philippines, that year there seemed to have been, some sort of upheaval and unrest in Manila as well with President Duterte, I think, at that time. There was just like a reign of I don't want to say terror, but just a lot of unrest, really. Sure, and because of that, they had they really ramped up the security, And so when we were there, the pageant was at the Mall of Asia. There were just like soldiers everywhere, with machine guns and so forth. And while, we don't see that here in Cayman, we still felt safe. I mean, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the same when we go to Israel. They're going to definitely, I have every faith in the Miss Universe organization that they're going to, do their best to keep us safe, along with the Ministry of Tourism there in Israel as well. They have been sending a lot of information. There are a lot of requirements that we, around, visiting there and so forth. So they seem to have everything in place for us. I feel comfortable, like I said earlier, a bit concerned, yes, because, we're going into a region that most of us have never been before, and especially in these times, when the world is in sort of like mass confusion,
Very gentle way of saying it.
Yes. But like I said, I have a lot of faith in God, and so does Georgina, and we just feel that, we'll be fine. And we have a lot of faith in the Miss Universe organization as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Question number 2. So I was reading your bio on the show today. So I was student council president when I was in high school, and I heard that you were student council president.
Yes.
How do you feel about that experience so far?
For me, the student council president was for every year. So I think I was for year 9. I'm trying to remember my high school days. It
wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago, but there's been so much that has changed in my life in the past 2 years. So much has changed in the past 2 months. Every opportunity I take can really change my life. But being student council, I was also very involved in high school. I won the Star of the School Award. And I was always, house captain. I was Emsley, so any Cayman Prep people out there, Emsley is the best team. It was just really good to be involved. I felt that I was giving back in the way I wanted to. Sure. I know that I can stand up for my students because, in this day and age, you don't want to feel judged for what you say. You don't want to get in trouble for saying something. And I was that kind of voice for the younger students who just got to high school. They didn't want to, push any steps. They didn't want to start anything. So it was really great, and I got to also be involved with the teachers and learn a little bit more about how they think and who their favorite students are, who they're not, which was interesting. But overall, it was a great experience. It really made me into the leadership that I am today, because I had to work with students from year 7 all the way up to year 13. So there was definitely an age gap. And they each every year brought a different idea of what they want for the school, adding more water fountains, making it more accessible online for the higher years, submitting everything through line instead of wasting paper, and it's more accessible to get sources online, things like that. Or making the field bigger so there's more playtime, or having diverse times, 7 to 9 will go at 12 to 1 and the rest. So it was just great ideas, and learning how to work as a team. And being able to publicly speak, that was definitely in high school, I'm glad that I did that, because a lot of students and children around the world have trouble speaking alone in just a room like this, or even to their parents or friends. So I can tell you one thing, as my mom would say, I never shut up.
Didn't expect that last line to come out. Yeah. Caught me off guard. Thank you. That's a very generous answer. You shared a lot, and you accomplished a lot in high school. What you said actually brought a lot of perspective. 2 years ago, you were in high school. 2 years later, you're actually representing Cayman and Israel. Yeah. Talk about how quickly life can change for someone in 2 years.
Yeah. You just got to surround yourself with the positive people. Absolutely. And be positive your own self. Remind that you can do things. No. If you work hard, you can get it.
I just want to say, though, I should probably say earlier when we were talking about Israel, that Georgina will be accompanied by committee member Lavinia Ebanks and her husband, Mario Ebanks, to Israel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I won't be alone.
Yeah, she won't be alone.
No,
and she won't be coming back alone either.
No.
And myself and Donna Bush will be joining them for the pageant.
For the pageant itself.
Yes.
That's excellent. We have one caller hold, but one last quick question. In reading your bio, I read that you had taken a art of introducing the elevator pitch.
Yes.
With Dr. Tasha.
Yes.
Very quickly, tell us one thing you learned from that pitch.
It was really interesting. We did that with some of the contestants. With me, I kind of knew some of those things, how to start a conversation. With me, you could start it by, oh, I love your hairstyle today. Or your eyes are really pretty. I get that one a lot personally for me. And I love to tell people their style because I feel that's a really nice way of connecting with someone. Where'd you get those shoes? And then you also get to know more about Cayman or where they got it. But I've always been a person to speak to people no matter who you are. And that's something I love in Cayman. And I'm glad that I grew up because when you walk down the road, people are like, good morning, hello. And you don't see that everywhere else in the world. So it was, she gave me some really good tips and tricks to definitely break the ice and what you can say and what not to say. Definitely, there's
Very
certain
important.
subjects that you want to stay away from in certain areas and environments. But it was a great, great opportunity. We learned about etiquette, especially for cocktail parties, how to hold a glass correctly. And I didn't know about those things before. So I hope she does another seminar sometime soon, and I would love to join her if she does.
She's great. Hopefully she does one by Zoom. Okay, we do have one caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Good afternoon to you and to your guest.
Good afternoon. If I could just make it really quick, we have to go to our 1 p.m. headline news in just a moment.
I want to say, I want to welcome the ladies in our region, Middle East. I think they go into the occupied territory of Palestine, and I think the people there, they will face three religion in one place. Where is Jesus born, and the most holy site for Muslims, Christians, and it's I advise them or invite them to visit my country, Jordan. It's a very beautiful country. The distance is 1 hour between Jerusalem and Amman, or 1.5 hours by car. So it will not be far for them to visit Jordan and enjoy the hospitality of the Jordanian people. And I advise you to speak to the Palestinian people and find the truth about their case and the occupation of the Jewish people to the Palestinian land. And I think you are representing Cayman as an ambassador to this island. You need to find the truth for yourself, what is going on in the ground. So I invite you to speak to the people of the Palestinian people and the Arab people there and see what is their case with the occupation of the Israeli people occupied in their land, and the Zionists occupied in their land, and the occupation and how they live under occupation and their situation there. So you visiting the occupied Palestine, and I wish you the best, and I invite you to visit Jordan anytime. You are welcome there, of course.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Caller,
you so much.
Caller, thank you so much. All right. So great input there, and obviously a lot of modern history is taking place right there in the territory you're headed to. Before we go to our 1 p.m. headline news, though, any final words to all your fans out there in Radio Cayman land, or on, I believe you were on Facebook Live just now, but...
Yes. I just want to say to everyone, thank you for the love. I am so blessed and honored to have this opportunity to go to Israel. And, I'm getting so much information from all around the world, and I'm just trying to soak it up as much as I can, like a sponge. For all the young females and males out there, this time of COVID, just stay safe. Friends, family, everyone stay safe. And for all my young little girls out there, you are a queen no matter what. And I hope everyone has a blessed week.
Thank you so much. Very generous comments.
Thanks for having us. I'd also like to say quickly thanks to CMR as well for supporting the pageant over the past couple of years as well.
Great.
Yep.
And
thanks for having us.
Oh, you're very welcome. All the best. Safe travels. Good luck, and bring back Miss Universe crown. A week tomorrow. Exciting. On that note, we're going to go to our 1 p.m. headline news. When we come on back, we'll be meeting with Meals on Wheels. Back with more Talk Today right after this.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Sollins. Scotiabank Cayman introduces a cashless operating model that will be implemented at its South Sound branch location on December 1st. After the conversion, the branch located on Crew Road will focus on financial advice and solutions, customer service matters, and providing assistance with transactions that can't be conducted via self-service channels. In international news, China's president warns U.S. president that encouraging Taiwanese independence would be, quote, playing with fire. China sees Taiwan as a breakaway province to be reunified with the mainland one day. The U.S. recognizes and has formal ties with China, but it has also pledged to help Taiwan defend itself in the event of an attack. A jury has been sent to deliberate in the case of a teen who shot 3 men amid civil unrest last year in one of the most high-profile trials in the U.S. Wrapping up, prosecutors said Kyle Rittenhouse walked off like a, quote, hero in a Western after opening fire on the streets of Kenosha, Wisconsin. Mr. Rittenhouse's lawyer said his client feared his own gun would be used on him after a crazy person ambushed him. France has dismantled a large migrant camp on its northern coast, where increasing numbers of people hoping to reach the UK had settled. French officers pulled down tents and evacuated up to 1,500 migrants from the site near Dunkirk early on Tuesday. Authorities also say they have arrested 13 suspected people smugglers. France is in a row with the UK over its handling of rising numbers of migrants trying to cross the English Channel from camps in northern France. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Sollins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
This week on The Flex, we'll be speaking with DJ Lyons, the UK Overseas Territories representative at this year's COP26 conference in Scotland.
We'll be discussing her experience as a speaker and contributor to this global event.
Also joining us is Dr. Celine Monasing from the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. We will be getting her opinion on the fight against climate change in Cayman.
This show promises to be informative. Call in and join our discussion by dialing our toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. We look forward to hearing from you.
This is also the final show for Youth Flex Season of Joy, so we will be bidding a fond farewell to host Chanel Martinez. Feel free to call in and wish her well.
The word of the week is bureaucracy. B-U-R-E-A-U-C-R-A-C-Y. It means a system of government in which most of the important decisions are made by state officials rather than by elected representatives or excessively complicated administrative procedures.
All that and more coming your way this Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. right here on Radio Cayman 89.9 FM. Youth Flex, a program for all people by young people. Youth Flex, more than talk.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Is it still on video or no?
Yes. And join, pleased to have in studio Miss Trina Savage, representing Meals on Wheels, and joining us by phone, Mr. Ali Faye Amo. Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Us. Ali, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
All right, so we're here to talk about Meals on Wheels. We have the Turkey Trot coming up very, very soon.
We do. It's this weekend, this Saturday. So there's still time to register, and we're very excited. It's always a wonderful event to bring exposure to Meals on Wheels, and raises important funds to help us sustain our meal delivery program to seniors. It's a really wonderful event. Everyone that comes out enjoys it. Some people dress up, take the advantage to do the full turkey trot, add in some elements. Yeah. Otherwise, you can wear the turkey trot T-shirt. You can walk, run. Some people use it as a timing exercise, and other people just come out for fun and enjoy the morning. And we did move it to South Sound, so we're excited for that location again, commencing at Grand Old House.
That's right, because I remember last year you had actually moved over to Grand Old House.
Exactly.
Where was it before then?
Used to be at Safe Haven.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it works out really well. And, registration fees are $25 for adults. Yep. And between 11 and 17-year-olds, it's $15. And for children 4 to 10, it's $10. And of course, anyone younger than that can do it for free. We have encouraged strollers or younger ones to come out as well.
Can the dog walkers come out?
We haven't had dogs in the past, I don't believe, but I'll have to double check on that. But we definitely, it's definitely a family affair. Yeah. Everyone seems to enjoy coming out, and all in the spirit of giving back.
Sure. And
as I said, raising awareness for our meal delivery program that has, undergone some challenges during COVID. And it's a fantastic program in all across all the districts. So it is one of those things where we do rely heavily on private donations, and we have our Pledge a Senior program, so you can actually easily donate online. So if you can't make it out to the walk or run, you can still register, or you can go ahead and pledge a senior for, a month or a year. And we've always done it for $5. $5 a day is what we say. Basically, our prices are slowly going to increase, but we encourage that pledge and that commitment from the community if they can possibly help it.
It'd be great. We'll go through a few of the different options available for the community to help out. So, Ali, a very important question for you: are you dressing up as a turkey for the race?
That's usually what our chairman, Mr. Alcantara, does. So I wouldn't dare step on his toes. An interesting question about the dogs, though. I'm not sure dogs and turkeys mix, but if you need to come out and walk your dog on our turkey trot, then come on down.
It'll become a turkey race, right? As the dogs chase the turkeys down you can build on that. And I appreciate the not wanting to step on the chairman's toes. Someone has to be the turkey, and not everyone gets that honor.
It's a job that somebody's got to do, and he does it really well.
Now, so as far as the Meals on Wheels, obviously it's a very popular organization here in Cayman. Many people have supported the organization in the past. Radio Cayman has been a big sponsor of the organization. But when we talk about the challenges with 2020 and 2021, we're not going to say the C word if we can avoid it. If we can avoid saying it, we will. Have you seen your numbers, your need for services go up?
Definitely, we have. We had some, especially in the initial stages, we had some, additional strain on some of the families where there might have been a senior need, and then maybe there were other, family members moving in as well. And we provided the best we could, especially during the initial onset. But we're currently serving approximately 320 meals to seniors across all 5 districts. And so, that's Monday to Friday. They get a hot meal and a soup. So some people save it for 2 different, sittings. Yes. And, the hope is that a lot of times there's family members or community that can assist on the weekends, because that's a common question. But it's really, certainly there's more awareness and there is more need for those who maybe were being provided for by their family, and now that's not possible for them. So we're always seeing an influx as well. And, it's only one of our biggest challenges that's been in existence even, for quite a few years, is that we only have 12% of our funding comes from a grant from the Cayman Islands government. Of course, we receive other sponsorships such as, the work that you guys do and private sponsorships, but it means that 88% of our funds come from fundraising. So we work really hard. We have a gala each year. We have our turkey trot. We do our dress down day. And like I said, any individual sponsorships, a lot of companies will take it upon themselves to do a little in-house fundraiser and then send the funds to us. So it has, it's been unfortunate, everything that's been going on, but it's also raised more awareness, I think, as well. Like, people are seeing, wow, there really is a need, and it was in existence before. So we're thankful that that there is some more exposure, and that we can sustain the funds to be able to provide such an important service. And of course, we wouldn't be able to do it without our volunteers. It's a very small team in the office, and then our volunteer board members, but our delivery drivers, are the ones that they may not get as much face-to-face contact depending, but just having someone check in on an older person who maybe is alone a lot of the time is really a blessing as well. They'll report little things, maybe we'll find out that somebody needs something else and we can pass it on to other organizations or authorities. So it really is a community effort to make it all come together.
That's a great feel-good story for, especially this time of year.
True.
It's a great feel-good story. Now, with the need for more of your services, how has 2021 impacted the fundraising efforts? Either yourself or Ali, if you want to jump in on that one.
Well, like Trina mentioned, over 80% of our funds come from the private sector and not from government. So we're really heavily dependent upon the generosity and the kindness of the private sector to step up, whether it's individual volunteers or corporate sponsors through our various events. Last year has been a challenge for every organization, I think, charities and businesses alike. So being able to keep up our fundraising and make sure that we can put those meals in front of over 300 needy Caymanians every day is a challenge, but it's something we've been able to keep up with so far, and we're hoping to be able to increase our services going forward. Unfortunately, there are some folks out there who we're not getting to. So there are some additional folks out there that do need help that we would like to service. So we're looking to increase our fundraising and also increase our efficiency in the coming year.
Thank you, Ali. Looking at some of the facts here, 320 seniors across all 5 districts. And the average cost for 1 month is about $32,000. It's quite a sizable cost for this initiative. Are you able to meet
our volunteers? The volunteers are just the unsung heroes in all this. They're out there every day, taking those meals out to folks who, like Trina said, sometimes the only human contact some of our seniors get is when our volunteer shows up with their meal. So we wouldn't be able to do what we do if it wasn't for donations, but also we couldn't function without the volunteers. So being able to get that free time and gas and effort from our volunteers is really critical, and we couldn't thank them enough.
And how many volunteer drivers do you have, roughly? I appreciate there's quite a few on a rotating basis.
Yeah, we probably have about 30 that we're rotating through all the time. It changes up, and some of them do it as a team. So we might have a route that's covered by CUC, for example, and they switch up. So then you've got, quite a few people. So if someone doesn't show up as well, like they might forget or something happens, we've got a call list of backup people. And a lot of people do want to take on a route, and it's challenging because we can't always give a new route to someone if we have someone assigned to it, but we always need, we need backup drivers, or we need, assistance at some of our fundraisers. If you want to help sell tickets for something or help with Dress Down Day, a lot of people do inquire. Otherwise, sometimes it's sad because it's hard to find places for people to give that labor support. Yeah. But, I often say to people, at least my friends, don't get your coffee for $5 and just pop it on the Pledge a Senior website, because you can just do a one-time pledge if you're in the mood and feel that you have it that day, So back to the, how we get there. This event, our target is $32,000. We've raised it before. We're aiming to look at Turkey Trot as, okay, that's one lump sum, but we do have other fundraisers. Our gala tends to bring in more, and definitely private sponsorships literally are blessings that pop up here and there, that come unexpectedly and have been, really helpful for us. So the sponsors for this weekend, We're grateful to Grand Old House, and also Weston is where we're doing our packet pickup. So if you go to mealsonwheels.ky or any of our social media, you can still register. And then on Thursday, you can pick up a packet of goodies in your shirt. So if you haven't gotten it, it's between 10 and 4 at the Weston this Thursday. If you haven't picked it up, you can certainly come on the morning of. It's registration time's at 6 p.m. and the race actually starts at 6 a.m. and the race is at 6:30. So, it's a little bit of a hustle in the morning. We prefer that if you can get your packet beforehand, that's great. But certainly if you have to show up the morning of, it's no problem. And so we've had some, for example, we do a little breakfast after that's sponsored by Kirk Market and Tortuga and Cafe del Sol. And that's nice, a little sense of community. I mean, of course, social distancing will be in practice and all the sanitation stations and COVID precautions. But, it's still fun to come out, and there's a few prize drawings that happen at the end. And we're really grateful for Davenport Development, Stepping Stone, McAlpine, Wall Creations, CUC, Pick Service, and of course Radio Cayman, who help us make the event a success, because a lot of our expenses are covered so that we can put all the registration funds towards meals. So we do, like our signage and just the logistics and everything. We do have sponsorship in place, which it all helps. Every little bit helps.
Every little bit. And you just, like I said, $5 is that the average cost per day per person?
Yes.
All right.
It is it has been our cost. I mean, our costs have gone up a little bit, and that's our meal cost. So, we certainly may have to increase that. But from a marketing standpoint, and at least encouraging a good number that will help sustain our seniors, we've kept it at that for the Pledge a Senior. And we do have some individuals in the community that, drop off money or, completely unexpected, or that actually sign on for pledging a senior for a full year. So it's, our funding comes from
many sources.
Acts of random kindness.
Acts of random kindness.
Yes.
Always a fun word.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we do have a second fundraiser event coming up for Meals on Wheels, which we'll talk about. Back with more talk today right after this.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Aston Shedden Rutty, MBE 1990 to 1977. Aston Rutty was the first child born to Henry Watson Rutty, ISO JP, and Julia Ann Rutty Nilazari at Stake Bay, Cayman Brac. He attended school at Stake Bay and as a young teenager was sent to Jamaica to attend technical training school. On his return, he worked for his father, who was collector of customs for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. He eventually became the Sister Islands' first district commissioner. Mr. Rutty was married to Ruth Marin in 1931, and the couple had 4 children. Mr. Rutty is best remembered for his dedication and diligent work to rebuild the Sister Islands in the aftermath of the 1932 hurricane. He was involved in the construction of roads, the airport, government buildings, and much of the infrastructure of the Sister Islands. He served as an immigration and customs officer, as a judge, and after retiring from government in 1960 as a law agent. The Civic Center on the Bluff was named in his honor. Aston Shedden Rutty.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
I've got some beautiful clothes
I know just where they go, Puritan Cleaners.
Now is the time, and we are ready to help you with your household cleaning needs. And that is bedspreads, comforters, duvets, duvet covers, drapes, and so much more. All items at 10% off prepay, and turnaround time will be 2 to 3 days. Orders can be handled at all 3 stores: Elgin Avenue, Savannah Countryside, Eastern Avenue, drive-through, rain or shine. All stores close at 5:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Call 949-7104. Puritan Cleaners. You feel good when you look good.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And pleased to have in studio Ms. Trina Savage from Meals on Wheels, and by phone, Mr. Ali Fayamo from Meals on Wheels as well. Sorry. So we have the upcoming Turkey Trot Run this week, and we'll go through those registration information in a minute. But we have a second charity event coming up, which is you can win a Mercedes-Benz. Trina, fill us in.
I know, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Jason Kennedy has donated a Mercedes-Benz in coordination with at the Mercedes showroom. But it says it's his Benz and his painting. So there's an original painting you can enter for $25, which is really, a great price for a raffle ticket. And 100% of the proceeds support Meals on Wheels. So this is one of those examples, by the way, of how do we get funding. Things like this happen. Where we didn't initiate this came to us. So we do initiate some fundraisers, and sometimes people magically initiate something, and it's just an incredible blessing. So this is one of those examples. It's fun. You can get your tickets from Winner's Circle, Bevy, Baccarat, Peppers, Steak Social, The Bird, and Sing's Roti Shop. And if you want to go and see the art that's on exhibit, you can go by the Mercedes showroom on November 19th from 5 to 9 p.m. So you'll want to get as many tickets as you can if you're interested in winning that, and also supporting Meals on Wheels. And yeah, it's a wonderful, fun and easy fundraiser for us that's happening. Another happening this week.
That's a really awesome act of random kindness.
It's so incredible.
Someone donated Mercedes-Benz. And an artist donated Mercedes-Benz along with one of his, I'm assuming, his works.
Yes, his limited edition print called Solitude Resilience, which is very fitting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very fitting for Meals on Wheels.
So, yeah, we've got some more information on our social media, but definitely you could check out the Mercedes showroom if you haven't been there before.
So Mercedes showroom is where the event's taking place, but you can buy your tickets at Winner Circle, Bevy, Baccarat, Peppers, Steak Social, The Bird, Sing's Roti Shop, but the drawing is not taking place on the 19th.
No, the drawing is taking place on December 15th.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll be able to buy tickets up until December 15th?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But if you want to go check out the art, it looks like there's the exhibit part of it is on the 19th if you did want to go see the painting. But otherwise, go ahead and purchase a ticket, and you can see a photo of the painting and the vehicle on our social media, so you can check it out. It's a really cool piece by Jason Kennedy, and 100% of the proceeds support it. So it's part of his exhibit, which is called Salt. So he's got other paintings as well.
Okay.
Otherwise this Saturday is our big Turkey Trot event.
Yes.
And so for those that want to come out at 6 a.m. or do the walk run at 6:30, you can check it out on our website, mealsonwheels.ky. Check us out on all our social media and see if you can, round up some friends and family to maybe register as well. You can pick up the packets this Thursday at the Westin if you have already registered. So we encourage you to do that from 10 till 4 this Thursday. The registration packets will be there. So you can get your Turkey Trot t-shirt. For as little as $25, you can have some good fun and maybe win some prizes at the walk run that starts at Grand Old House, and, even enjoy some continental breakfast and some fellowship afterwards.
Absolutely. Now, we're not going to say the C word, but there are, for precautionary reasons, what safety procedures are taking place on the
So wear your mask. We'll have sanitization stations. We will be practicing social distancing. So the same way you're out, exercising around, it just that you get to maybe dress up like a turkey or dress up in orange. And
are you wearing a turkey outfit?
I usually try to embellish something if we've got, these headbands or whatever. I'll try to dig something up, but definitely I'll be there in my orange shirt and big smile on for Meals on Wheels.
Fair enough. And then just to tag on to some of the others, to go back to the donations and volunteer opportunities for those of you who do want to get more involved with Meals on Wheels, whether donations, whether it's volunteering, walk us through where and how they can do so.
Feel free to reach out. Our email is really simple, just info@mealsonwheels.ky. And, look out for volunteer opportunities that we do advertise on our social media, or if you want to sign up to our email database, then you'll get our newsletters. We do sometimes still need drivers or backup drivers, so that's an option. But even if it's not, supporting us through these little events and, whether it's as a volunteer or registering for something, or even donating as little as $5 when you have it towards pledging a senior. We actually have a dedicated website, pledgeasenior.com. NetClues was really great working with us, about a year or two ago, as well as Cayman Gateway. And we were so happy and Butterfield Bank. So we actually have it so you can simply put your debit card on there and just, pledge. It's super easy. Do it once, do it every month, whatever you decide. But, even wearing your orange shirt and talking to people about Meals on Wheels and the service that we offer is how we get into the community. It's how people learn about us and maybe recommend someone who's in need that, they didn't know about the program. So it is to give our sole purpose is to serve a warm, nutritious meal to our seniors and those bedridden or in need across the entire Grand Cayman. So it's very simple. We have the kitchens in place, we have the deliveries in place. So it's just about support and funding and awareness, and that's the best thing you can do.
We only have about a minute and a half left in this segment. So very quickly, run us through again. How can you sign up? Where can you collect your packet? And the costs for this coming Saturday's event.
Excellent. So Saturday, November 20th, and it will be at Grand Old House in South Sound. You can register by going to our website, mealsonwheels.ky, or any of our social media channels. It's $25 for adults, $15 for youth, and kids 4 till 10 is $10 or under for if you've got the means to get them through a 5K, then they're free. And our packet pickup is this Thursday, November 18th at the Westin in the Galleon Ballroom. So that's from 10 till 4 p.m. So if you've registered already, you can get your packet there. That'd be great. And, as I mentioned, we'll have a continental breakfast by Kirk Market, Tortuga, and Cafe del Sol. And we wouldn't be able to do it without our sponsors this year, which is Davenport Development, Stepping Stone, McAlpine, Wall Creation, CUC, Pick a Service, and of course Radio Cayman. So thank you so much. And we've got great prize sponsors too. So everyone that enters, of course, we always love to get prize donations to reward, give people an extra incentive to do the walk run. So you might win something from Pool Patrol, Kirk Office, Cafe del Sol, Gino's Pizza, Effie's, Pirates Den, Hard Rock Cafe, or Winner's Circle, and other things as well. So
excellent. And we did look up that
well-behaved four-legged friends on a leash are welcome to come. So that's at yes, and that's at your discretion. But we expect that anyone that brings their animal, that they're used to walking around people, and they can respect the social distancing as well.
We can't have them attacking the chairman in his turkey outfit.
In his turkey outfit, exactly.
It would not go very well. Then Allie would have to dress up in the turkey outfit.
Exactly, and I don't think he's signed up for that.
Allie, sorry we didn't get to get too much in this call, but we do hope to have you in studio later on, and perhaps after the event, to talk more about the upcoming Jason Kennedy fundraiser.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you all. On that note, we're going to go to our 1:30 commercial break. When we come back, we'll be sitting down with our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Lee. Back with more Talk Today right after this.
We may be in Christmas shopping mode, but 'tis the flu season too. Savannah Pharmacy has immune system boosters for the entire family with a range of vitamins and supplements. Their knowledgeable and courteous pharmacists are always available to offer the best advice and products. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Do you know how well your pension plan performed? Attend the Chamber Pension Plan's annual general meeting to stay informed and find out how you can achieve your desired retirement lifestyle. Members are invited to meet our trustees and take part in our question and answer segment on 1st December 2021 at 6:30 p.m. at the Chamber of Commerce Boardroom in Governors Square. Refreshments will be served. Please visit our website chamberpension.ky or email admin@pensions.ky for further details. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
The technology sector is forecast to be one of the fastest growing industries in the next decade, with more jobs available than skilled people to fill them. Enterprise Cayman is helping to fill this void and grow the next generation of Caymanian innovators, giving young people access to high-quality learning experiences with the opportunity to pursue careers in technology and innovation sectors. Learn to code, how product development works, enter professional competitions, access high-tech resources, network with special economic zone industry professionals, and much, much more. Visit enterprisecayman.ky to find out more. Brought to you by Cayman Enterprise City.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Did you know that you must discard fresh fruits and vegetables, meats, foods in canisters, dented, leaking, or rusting cans after they have come in contact with floodwater? For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And we've had a fairly dynamic show today, and very pleased to now have in studio our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Lee. Welcome back to Talk Today.
Ray, good afternoon. Thanks very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with Radio Cayman, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. And with the holidays coming up, obviously you'll be heading back home, I believe, in January, February?
Absolutely, January probably.
January.
Yeah.
So we'll enjoy this one of our last opportunities, hopefully, to have you in the studio. And hopefully you're back again. But it's been a wild 2 years, to say the least. Year and a half, almost 2 years. A lot of learning experiences along the way. And now here to give some more updates on where we are with COVID. I call it the C word now on the show. That's how we try to avoid saying it as much as we can. But the changes to the way we were back in March of 2020 to August of 2020 to now November of 2021, a lot of changes there. Walk us through where we're at now.
I guess you're right, because it's called COVID-19 for a reason. It's because it started in 2019 and in December. So we're nearly at that 2-year anniversary.
I never knew that was actually where the 19 came from.
Yeah, it did. So it was because I think it was something like the at the very end of December that the first reports came
That's right,
out.
actually, you're right, yes. I remember that.
So it's, yes, a 2-year anniversary. What a terrible thing. And I think it's, I just thought if I may take a moment just to remember that the person that died, unfortunately, on Saturday, are very sad. You'll have had the Premier's announcement of that. The first person that's died since our community outbreak and since we've moving towards our reopening. But also, not all of your listeners will have known that we had actually, sadly, another second death that happened yesterday, early hours of yesterday morning at Health City. In both of these cases, I have not yet seen the death certificates, and that they wouldn't normally come to me. But in both of the cases, I understand that COVID will be listed as a cause of death. So the way death certification works is you list the thing that brought somebody's ultimate demise as number one, and then you go through all of the other contributory factors. Okay. And it will be listed as one of the contributory factors, so it will be called so-called a COVID death, if you like. And that's set out in the World Health Organization sets out how you should describe these things. Okay. So I'll take an example of, let's say, somebody who had a stroke, let's say 8 months ago, and then had an awful lot of medical complications and maybe they went into kidney failure and all sorts, and down the line then unfortunately they died. That stroke will still be listed at the bottom of that list of things, even though it might be 8 months later that somebody actually should pass. But however, if, for example, you had a car accident and that led to your aorta being split and that led to you having hypovolemic shock subsequent to you dying, but they found that you're COVID positive, that would not be listed in that cause of death. That would be listed as an associated factor in a different section of the death certificate. So that would not be listed as a COVID death, because clearly the circumstances there were not the ones that brought you. It played no part in your ultimate demise. So it's important to know that, but in these two cases, COVID would be listed as a contributory factor to these people's deaths. But just as Premier said on Saturday, and again for the same case on Monday, in both of these cases, the people had a lot of other medical problems and were very sick, and in both cases it was not unexpected that they passed. But that doesn't change the fact that the loss of any life is obviously a very sad thing.
Absolutely.
Going forward, also, we would be planning to, as we release all of our statistics about COVID, we would not be planning to make special announcements unless there's something peculiar. We would just announce all of these statistics together going forward with our regular statistics updates. And I know people will be wanting to know how many positive tests there have been since last Friday. I haven't got those results yet, for all of the reasons we've previously given, that then an awful lot of duplicates come through for any one particular person. They might have subsequent tests, and they may have had a lateral flow and a PCR, and we have to make sure all of those duplicates are cleaned up. As well as we come towards all the exit testing, lots of people are exiting isolation having been positive. All of those duplicates need to be cleaned up so that we don't report them as lots more positives, and we only report people once. So those will be cleaned up and be prepared and given out as soon as possible. But I guess we've been living with COVID now for really quite a while. It's coming up to 10 weeks since the 8th of September, when that first community case, I think it's 10 weeks tomorrow that first community case was discovered. I'm hoping that soon the numbers might begin to fall off of the numbers going positive. We all hope that this would happen. I asked the Chief Medical Officer of Bermuda. They've recently had, as you know, a big outbreak, and he said it took them about 10 weeks for them to see that that things were improving. It may take Cayman a bit longer because we put a lot of measures in place to slow down the spread of it, and lateral flow testing, distancing, masks, all these things that are really important, is actually an attempt to slow down the numbers of people that are hitting the hospitals, and I think we have been doing that. The numbers have been, no one wants an admission, but the numbers have been, the hospital's been coping so far with the admissions. We did an exercise the other day as part of the programme board's reopening where we talked to all the 3 hospitals and stressed them, as we say. You know, we said, what are you going to do if there are 40 people that need admissions? What are you going to do if there are 100? What are you going to do if there are 200? And out of that, it came, we sort of developed our understanding of the bed status around Cayman a bit better, such that we now believe that there are 55 beds that are put aside across all of the 3 hospitals. That means that if they had 55 patients with COVID across the hospitals, they could still continue to provide elective services. So that doesn't mean that they just have 55 beds. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that those numbers of beds, which are roughly 50-50 at Health City and at the HSA, that's roughly 25 each. They could take those patients while still continuing to provide routine services. And then if we had more patients, then they would need to back off from their elective services and say we can no longer provide, routine this or routine that, and cut back the clinics and so on, and redeploy the staff from the clinics to the wards and that sort of thing. But we're nowhere near there at the minute. Sure. For those 55 beds, we currently have, I think, around 38% of that capacity of 55 beds used. We haven't even used half of that capacity. Okay. I'm not saying people aren't working incredibly hard at the HSA, because a lot of these patients are at the HSA. Sure. But they are, and my thanks to them. They've just always been such an amazing resource for this country. But I also wanted to mention that, the collaborative working between the hospitals and private and public sector has also been amazing. So having this tabletop exercise that we did the other day, that there was no question. Everybody just said, yes, count me in. These are the numbers. We'll be there. We'll be there to help whatever you need. So my thanks to the whole of the healthcare community.
That's helpful to have that level of collaboration.
It is very much so. So we're living with COVID, we're moving towards the reopening, and the lateral flow policy is really, really helping. I've heard really positive things, not only from education, but from the fire service, from the prison, the fact that they're able to isolate people very early on, find out people that are positive, and then keep them from spreading COVID onwards, which is exactly what we want to do. And so I think it's really going to help. We always knew that introducing the policy and flooding the country with lateral flow tests as we have would always make a steep number of our positive curve would go up steeply, because we'd suddenly discover all these people we didn't know, which is exactly what we wanted to do, to get them to isolate and then slow down or stop the spread from that particular source of infection. So I thank people very much for complying and helping us with that lateral flow policy, both at an individual level. If you're a child, thank you very much. It's really appreciated. I think the kids have really taken it on board. So great thanks to them, because obviously the first outbreak seemed to be centered around the schools. But also, if you're an adult or if you're an organisation, my thanks to you. Everybody's been drawing up policies and buying lateral flow tests and really buying into this and understanding how actually, if you stand back a bit, it's going to enable business continuity. It's going to enable the schools to stay open. It's going to enable businesses to keep going. Even if a few of your workforce are taken out, you're not going to take out the whole of the workforce being sick, because you'll take out people early and then you'll allow the business to continue. Okay. And people are also using the reporting mechanism, so they're either calling the flu hotline or they're going to explore.gov.ky/report-COVID-19-result to report their positive test, which is exactly what they should do. And then isolating afterwards, and that's much appreciated. I've talked a lot, Ray, sorry.
Yeah, the good part is that you actually talked right up to a commercial break, so we actually get to go to a break now.
Okay, right.
We come back and do a few questions for you on the lateral flow tests and living with COVID. Comments. Back to more talk today, right after this.
Savannah Pharmacy. Shop local and get a head start on your Christmas shopping. For ladies' handbags, clothes, shoes, fragrance, candles, and cosmetics with the newest Farmhouse Fresh line of skincare. For the gentlemen, clothes, shoes, fragrances, gift sets, and toys and games for the kids. Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
Are you planning a social, an office party, or event over the holiday season? Make the most of your holiday party and leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go with the option of a 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. Cater your holiday parties with Subway. Visit subway.ky for menu options. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Come on, Cayman. Let's get ready to reopen. Countries all over the world are proving life can go on and we can safely coexist with COVID-19 in our community. With open borders, our readiness will be vital to protect each other and our islands. We can do this. Have your voice heard and pledge you are ready to safely reopen. Visit reopencayman.com. Join the movement and pledge that you are ready to reopen on November 20th.
Each Tuesday and Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of the Business Buzz is brought to you by Optical Outlook. Visit them at their new location in Anderson Square. Telephone 746-2020. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook.
What do you do if you have to go to a shelter? To help you safely prepare, evacuate, and shelter while protecting yourself and others from COVID-19 this hurricane season, here's some tips from the Public Health Department. If you must go to a shelter, be ready to protect yourself and others. Practice social distancing of at least 6 feet from others. Follow public health's preventative actions. Wash your hands with soap and water, often if possible, or use hand sanitizer, cover coughs and sneezes, and wear mask or cloth face coverings. Get your COVID-19 vaccine when eligible. Avoid sharing food and drink with anyone. For more guidance to update your emergency hurricane plans due to coronavirus, visit www.caymanprepared.gov.ky. This message is brought to you by the Public Health Department in partnership with the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and very pleased again to have in studio our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Lee, here providing the update of living with COVID. Dr. Lee, welcome again.
Thank you.
So before the break, we touched upon the where we're at with regards to the positive results and just the community acclimating to the numbers. And you had mentioned the unfortunate passing of another individual at Health City yesterday. But with regards to the hospital bed situation and borders reopening, one of the questions we had from the community early last week was the potential for the need for more beds if the needs arise with the borders reopening. What is the game plan should that happen?
Yeah, so what we want to make sure, I'm sure you can understand at an organisational level, is not only that you have a given number of beds, but also that you're able to staff them by people who are sufficiently rested that they can provide services.
Sure.
So although you can use a lot of beds, you also at the same time have to make sure that you have sufficient staff, and we have been adding staff to various parts of public health of the hospital throughout this pandemic as the needs have come, and we are continuing to do that as we move forward to make sure that we have sufficient staff. It doesn't necessarily always mean that you need, a doctor that's been trained for 10 years. It could actually mean, often it's a question of having people who have some experience, they're safe, who could actually provide a lower level of care. Because a lot of people that come into hospital with COVID, or might come if we have if the outbreak expands, may well manage with a lower level of care that can be provided, for example, in the field hospital, which is exactly why we had the field hospital open before the Family Life Centre, and we're planning to open a field hospital again to give us that extra capacity of 70 to 80 beds. But those are what we would call lower acuity beds, so they wouldn't be for people that needed to have breathing machines, ventilators. It would be for people who needed more of a ward-based care. Our field hospital was really amazingly equipped with, sinks and lights, and I mean, it really. I don't know if you saw it. You probably saw the pictures. It really felt very much like a hospital.
Yes, it didn't look like a parking lot hospital.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, so we'll be there again. I hope we don't have to use it, but it is going to be recommissioned in the short term, and hopefully that will be up and running by Christmas time, I would imagine. Able to be run by Christmas time.
Yes.
There are also different sorts of plans, like if you needed extra beds, we would be able to use other facilities around the islands. The hospices generously, Jasmine, the hospice has generously said we could use some of their facility to, for example, to house more longer-term patients who don't need as much intense input, so that they'd be perfectly safe to be transmitted there, but they still do need nursing and some doctor supervision, so they'd be safe to be at Jasmine. So it's that sort of thing we're thinking about all the time. And obviously, as you ramp back from any elective services, it then gives you access to more of what we call the surgical beds to use, which would normally be surgeries often for more elective procedures that you choose to do on a certain day or a certain time.
Okay. So capacity then, we're looking at 80 beds roughly, if the field hospital was up. When?
Yeah, so the field hospital will add around 80 beds.
Add 80 beds more?
Yeah,
okay.
Add 80 beds more. But all of the hospitals together with our field, I think the total count is over 300 that we would have to use for people should they need them. We never want to get to that.
No, of course. No, also we never get that.
But as I mentioned, we're also working hard on the other side to be able to staff them too.
No, absolutely. So now with regards to that question on, are we looking to attract more nurses and caregivers to Cayman?
Yeah, so there are different mechanisms that we can look to do that. There are a lot of people in Cayman, for example, who may have been qualified in another country but don't meet the qualifications here because of different standards. So it could be that in an emergency time we can ask them, call them up. There could also be retired people who would come forward, so they would obviously need some refresher training. But all of these people, under the supervision of trained professionals, could assist us should we in an emergency need to call in extra people. Additionally, there are some countries who we can call on who, under our current laws for registration, are registrable. And for example, the institutional registration systems that are there, you'll be aware that Hull City is institutionally registered place as some of the other hospitals are, and they can call in extra staff from abroad, perhaps only for a shorter term to help in the meantime, and then as things settle, we probably wouldn't need them anymore.
You know, it's interesting. I read an article the other day about globally, like the nursing shortage has, just because of the COVID situation lasting as long as it has, it's just drained everyone's.
I think what's helpful now is that countries are all in a slightly different position, so there is a little bit more fluidity in people being able to move, the employment market, because not everybody is in the same, state of infection. And India had a very bad time. I think it's probably around 5 or 6 months ago, but it's now coming out the other side. So, so everybody's slightly different in their journey with COVID.
Traveling nurses, right?
Yes,
that's the future of healthcare.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about living with COVID, with borders reopening, we still have our isolation periods right now. Looking 6 months down the road, what do you envision living with COVID looks like for Cayman?
I think
best case scenario, obviously. Best case scenario.
Yeah. So 6 months, maybe a year. I think 6 months. I think we're going to look back and think, gosh, that was quite tough where we were. But we've got a very rocky road because we're suddenly opening ourselves up to the infection with our reopening plan, and so we've had this tough journey as we experience COVID in our community, which we haven't had but everybody else around the world pretty much has had. Even countries like Australia and New Zealand, they also they actually couldn't keep it out. We actually were planning. We were actually on our reopening journey, so we knew that it would come at some point. In some ways, it was better that it came earlier rather than after the 20th. So we've sort of not so we're able to work through some of these issues now before the doors are fully open, and they open a fair way on this coming Saturday. But I would anticipate that in 6 months to a year's time, we're all going to feel a lot more relaxed about it. We probably will be wearing masks. We'll still be following good hand hygiene. We may not be doing lateral flow tests anymore. They may have fallen away. And everybody's probably going to be much more relaxed about it, knowing that there are not only new, not invasive, but there are new sorts of treatments that you can use if you're seriously sick, and also new sorts of treatments that you can use at an outpatient basis for COVID. And so that's really going to be, those two things are going to be quite a game changer, as well as the new vaccines, which will work in a different way and will further help us. But talking about vaccines, the new studies that are coming out now right across the world, including from the UK, they've just released some more study information showing that if you have the booster of AstraZeneca or a Pfizer, particularly a Pfizer, it will boost up your protection to 94%. So it really gets that shield of protection around you to be really nice and strong. So if you're in a category that can go and have a booster, please do so. And I am pretty sure that as time moves on, the boosters will become available for everyone rather than just the 40s and above and those frontline workers at the minute. And that will really give good and solid protection, I would imagine, for at least 9 months to a year from the time that you get the booster.
That 94%, is that covering the variants and like the Delta variants and all the other?
Exactly.
One the other day.
Against symptomatic infection. So basically 94% of people shouldn't get any symptomatic infection if they have the booster, which is a huge figure. It's very good.
I don't remember that. I don't remember it being that high when
it slipped down again. Yeah. It was about 95% with Pfizer with the first with the Wuhan variant, the original.
Yes,
and then with every variant of concern, it's dropped down a bit more. So
sure. Okay. Yeah, it's tough to keep. And you mentioned the new potential outpatient treatments.
Yes, very exciting. It's an antivirals. I mean, antivirals have been around for a long time. You've probably heard of Tamiflu. It's something that you can take if you have influenza. And I think one of the previous bird flu epidemics in early 2000s, everybody was stockpiling Tamiflu for that purpose. So it's another antiviral like that. But what's interesting about it is you take it, it's a tablet, it's foil wrapped. You can put it in your, if you can get hold of it, you can put it in your drug cupboard. And if you get sick, you can take it. Or if you went to your GP, they could give you the prescription. And I think it's a 4 or 5 day course of tablets, and then it will seriously reduce your risk of serious illness and death. One of them.
So you get it first. You get COVID first, and you go and get
exactly. If you're feeling a bit sick and you might have COVID, and the test is positive, and you're early on, that's when you need to take it, because you need to stop the viral replication so the virus doesn't do the damage. Once you've actually had damage to your organs as a consequence of virus, then actually other things kick in. Your body often can often do strange things and start fighting itself when various inflammatory processes begin to work, and that's why you need things like steroids or other things to try and damp down the inflammatory system. But if you can get in there before the virus has ripped and caused damage to the lungs and the kidneys and the blood vessels and so on, then they can really be a game changer. And there's 2 available. One, I think, the Pfizer one particularly, I think people have focused on. It's the drug company says it will reduce serious illness and death by up to 90%. So I mean, fabulous, amazing.
Does that affect? Does it matter if you have the vaccine or not?
I think yeah. So if clearly people who are in an at-risk group, you'd probably want to give them that as well, even if they've had the vaccine, because you don't want them, because people who are older and who have lots of multiple other comorbidities, they can still go on to do badly even if they have been vaccinated. Sure. So there is a small number of those, although yes, we know overwhelmingly the people that are in hospital who have poor outcomes are those who are unvaccinated. We've seen a lot in our neighbouring countries as well as right around the world.
Okay. That's a lot of intel. Thank you so much for that. On that note, let's go to our 2 p.m. headline news. When we come back, we'll be chatting more with Dr. Lee, our Chief Medical Officer.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Ministry of District Administration and Lands announces that the 3 Cayman Islands will undergo a seabed mapping exercise by international geodata specialists. Over a 5-day period, the visiting specialists will operate a P-68 aircraft, flying as low as 1,000 feet above land and covering a survey area of 382 square kilometers on Grand Cayman, 70 square kilometers on Cayman Brac, and 62 square kilometers on Little Cayman. In international news, Polish forces have used tear gas and water cannons against migrants trying to cross into the country from Belarus. Videos showed migrants throwing stones and other objects at the Polish forces guarding a fortified border crossing. For weeks, thousands of migrants, mostly from the Middle East, have been gathering at the Belarus border in an attempt to reach the European Union. The U.S. has condemned Russia for conducting a, quote, dangerous and irresponsible missile test that it says endangered the crew aboard the International Space Station. The test blew up one of Russia's own satellites, creating debris that forced the ISS crew to shelter in capsules. The station currently has 7 crew members on board, 4 Americans, a German, and 2 Russians. The space station orbits at an altitude of about 260 miles. Manchester City defender Benjamin Mendy has been charged with 2 further counts of rape. The 27-year-old footballer, who remains in custody, is now facing 6 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. The charges relate to 4 complainants over the age of 16 and are alleged to have taken place between October 2020 and August 2021. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And again, pleased to have in studio Dr. Lee, our Chief Medical Officer, here providing a COVID update of where we are with our borders reopening in the very near future. Obviously, we've had our community transmission situation for the past 10-ish weeks. And hopefully we'll see that tapering off very soon, especially with the holidays coming up. I don't think anybody wants to be isolating when we have Cayman Thanksgiving and, school breaks coming up, and a lot of time to be out and celebrating and not being isolated at home. It's time for fellowship, right? But we have the LFT tests, which have been now the new force for combating the spread. Dr. Lee, provide us with a bit of an update on where we're at with those LFT tests, including maybe even a quick refresher on how to utilize those tests for the community.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for the lateral flow test when you're using one is to make sure that you get a good sample, because I think if you don't swab the nose for long enough or following the instructions, then and you just do a very quick and cursory sample, that's when you won't know the true answer. If you're basically asking a question, and if you don't ask a good question, you're not going to get a good answer. You'll know that, Ray. So that's essentially that's how I see the LFT test. You need to ask the question well, and then you'll get a good answer. So take a good sample, and once you've done that, follow the instructions. Make sure that all of the sample has come off the swab and into the liquid before you put it on the little dropper, and obviously wait for the 15 to 30 minutes, depending on what test you have, and for the result. If you have any doubt about how you're doing your sample, then if you just Google, for a YouTube video of how to do an LFT test, you can easily find it. Whether that there are explanatory videos for children, explanatory videos for adults to show you how to do a good sample. So please do that. But They aren't as accurate, they aren't as sensitive as PCR tests, but what they are very good at doing, and studies have shown that actually they're much better than originally we thought, is picking up people who are likely to transmit disease. So that's exactly what we want to do. They will pick up around 80% of those likely to transmit disease. It's not foolproof, but they're an awful lot better than doing nothing, which is why we're really, really pleased to use them. And we're following the recommended guidance from the UK Health Security Agency about how to deploy them, using them twice weekly in schools and so on, and twice weekly in large organisations. That's meant to be the optimal time to pick up any positives and then to exclude people as a result.
Two questions, and one with regards to the comparison between the PCR test and the LFT test. One is the depth that we're actually putting it up into the nose. What is the difference of why that's the case?
Yeah, so for the PCR test, they are making sure that they have an absolutely, for want of a better word, perfect sample. So they're doing a much deeper nasopharyngeal swab, which really passes along the base of the nose right to the back of the airway. So make sure they get a very good sample there. That would only be provided by a healthcare professional who knows what they're doing. You need training to do that. It's not something you should ever do at home. So when you're doing the LFT tests, the people who have designed the test, and it's designed specifically for all of the different steps that go in, the liquid they've got in there, what the volume of the liquid is, the way the sample is, the way the swab's made, and so on and so forth. All of those different steps are designed to give a good answer. And that is only to go into the nose up to an inch or 2.5 centimeters, are the ones that we have, the Acon FlowFlex ones, to sample at that level. But they've been shown to give a good result. So under perfect circumstances, the sensitivity and specificity of these tests are incredibly high. They're both over 97%, but that's in absolutely perfect laboratory situations. If you actually look at the real life situations, that's when it drops down to about the 80%.
In your kitchen with 3 kids all screaming at you.
Yeah, exactly, 80% that we're talking about. So we originally thought they were about 50, but then actually to pick up symptomatic infections that are likely to spread, it's probably much more near 80%. So the lateral flow is more like a real life testing scenario, whereas the PCR test is more scientific and more laboratory based as it clearly is. It needs to go to a laboratory, have lots of steps and so on and so forth. But and it is more sensitive as a result.
Thank you for that. The second question was, you mentioned the recommendation was for 2 times per week for testing for offices or for schools. Currently, we're seeing a situation where we have, I believe the recommendation is 10 days consecutively testing with the students.
That's if there's an outbreak. So if you have an outbreak, then you move to a slightly different scenario. So daily testing, if there's an outbreak in your area, which we've clearly seen.
Sure.
And that's again to pick up any positives. When this begins to dampen down, it's very likely that we will revisit the frequency of these tests and make recommendations accordingly. Because if we feel there is actually the infection has spread through the community and all of the remainder people are adequately protected by the vaccine, which we know we have very good rates of vaccine, then we can, in all likelihood, wind back from there. But at the moment, we want to make sure that we don't allow infections to run riot where we didn't know that they were happening, which is actually what we felt that, when we suddenly got all these positives in September, it's probably because it was there and bubbling away and we just didn't know about it. But the lateral flow enables you to see what you couldn't see before. It's like putting on X-ray spectacles and seeing what you didn't know.
It's definitely a challenge. There's a lot of moving parts to the equation. I think it's, as we discussed during the break, it's one of those frustration parts for the community is a constant moving, not the moving goalpost, but it's a constantly evolving situation. So it can appear at times that the goalposts are being shifted back and forth, but it's a response to something that's beyond control.
I mean, I live and breathe COVID, as you can imagine. I dream about it.
Not sure the right wording of that.
You can imagine all of my dreams. I think almost all of my dreams are about testing and outcomes and vaccinations, and it's not a great place to be.
No.
But what's really important is, when I go and sit and have my cup of coffee with my dog lying down beside me and listening to the birds in the morning, it's just to recenter yourself and remember that we only have one chance at this life. We must enjoy it to its full, and we must enjoy all of the little things as well as all the big things. But make sure that we're taking the time to really enjoy the gift that life has given us.
It's a great way of looking at the current situation. There's always some golden nuggets of
I think
happiness.
that the golden nugget is waking up and enjoying what's been given to us. Yeah.
We should have saved that for the very end of the show. We still got more questions. So on the LFT test, we did have a question that came up in one of the groups that I'm involved with the other day in regards to potential. This is just going to a FOI request that came from Public Health England in regards to some of the sterilization methods for the LFT test. Just to offer the community some reassurance on the safety of the test, there was the sterilization method used. If I say the chemical wrong, I'm sorry. Ethylene oxide, I believe, was the name of the chemical used to sterilize the test, so that people could actually put them in their nose safely. That some of it does get left over in a residue on these swabs. What are the safety concerns, if any, for testing as frequently as we are, 10 times over the course of the week? Are there any concerns with regards to the frequency of the testing and the swabs, or is this just...
Yeah. I'm not the best person to answer. You'd probably need a basic scientist whose expertise was in that area. All I'd say is I wouldn't hesitate to use it myself. You must imagine that if you... a lot of your listeners will have had may have had significant medical events happen in their lives. These sorts of sterilization techniques are used right across the hospitals, and all of the equipment that's being used, in the single-use gowns and masks and everything that's being used, they're quite widespread, but they go through absolutely rigorous testing to make sure that there would be no harm to the people as a result of continued use, or else we would know about it. I understand that because of the the prevalence of COVID, these questions are coming up, and it's absolutely right that they should come up. But I certainly wouldn't hesitate, because I know the rigorous testing that goes into allowing swabs and things like that to be used in healthcare in general.
Thank you. It offers a little bit of, because that reassurance. People start asking questions, they start seeing labels and the videos, and the interweb is full of videos. So we all learn from somewhere, right? Thank you for that. On that note, we do have one caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Yes, good afternoon, and good afternoon, Dr. Lee.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I have a few questions. You could take them and answer when I hang up, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, when a person tests 3 times positive, what is the situation there? That's one question. And
ma'am, is this in a short space of time or over a year?
No, in a very short time. Yes, that's the one question. Okay, another one is when you get your results back and the front headline says positive, and then you read all the way down to the bottom, and then it says this was not detected and that was not detected, and that I assume then you're negative. I just want to know, when they say that they didn't find any COVID in the individual, and it's SARS or whatever the word is, what does that mean? Did they actually had it, or it's gone, or what the situation is? That's another two questions. And I was just wondering, the way that some people are being tested 2 and 3 and 4 times before they can come back out into the world, do you think that every person is being tested in the COVID line with a COVID swab and it comes up positive? Do you truly believe that that is every time COVID? Because we have a flu season going on, and if you have a flu, this swab picks you up as positive. Do you think and feel that we should do a regular cold in a different form than going under the COVID test, and we should have some blood work done to see if what is causing the individual to test 3 and 4 times within within 3 weeks, a little bit over 3 weeks, to keep testing the positive. I think that is the 3 questions right there. If I can think of the next one, I'll call you back. But I would like you to please answer that for us. And when they send results out to people that was tested positive, when you get your results back, they're showing you positive on the top of your email, and then when you read down to the bottom, then it's explaining to you that no detect here, no detect there. So I don't know why they would put positive on top to throw people into a frantic of scared, and people who has anxiety and all those different things. If you had COVID and you was tested and you got your results back, that positive shouldn't be up on the upper top. They should be starting off with your negative list on the top. And you could, sit and put positive on the bottom that you were positive, but now you're negative. You got to go and read it and try to figure it out. And it says no detect here, no detect there, if I'm using the word correctly. So I would greatly appreciate if you could answer those questions for me and see if we can test in a different form. So when we just have a regular cold, then going through this COVID swab to see if we got COVID, or we just have a regular cold. No one comes back and say you have a regular cold. Nobody comes up and check you. We got people on medication. We got people with high blood pressure and so forth. And people is home and not having anyone to come and check on them. And I can tell you that is true.
Ma'am, thank you so much for your questions. Sorry to cut you there. We do have to go to a commercial break, but when we get back, we'll have Dr. Lee answer those questions for you. Thank you so much for calling in.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
We may be in Christmas shopping mode, but 'tis the flu season too. Savannah Pharmacy has immune system boosters for the entire family with a range of vitamins and supplements. Their knowledgeable and courteous pharmacists are always available to offer the best advice and products. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
The technology sector is forecast to be one of the fastest growing industries in the next decade, with more jobs available than skilled people to fill them. Enterprise Cayman is helping to fill this void and grow the next generation of Caymanian innovators, giving young people access to high quality learning experiences with the opportunity to pursue careers in technology and innovation sectors. Learn to code, how product development works, enter professional competitions, access high tech resources, network with special economic zone industry professionals, and much, much more. Visit enterprisecayman.ky to find out more. Brought to you by Cayman Enterprise City.
The Department of Environmental Health would like to advise Bordentown residents to get their bulk waste ready for collection from November 15th to the 20th. Household appliances, furniture, and other items too large to be handled by the weekly DEH collection crews should be placed by the roadside where it is easily accessible to DEH collection crews. Metals and vegetation should also be separated from other bulk items. Do not obstruct the roadway or storm drains, or place tires, construction and demolition waste, hazardous materials, or electronics. For more information on the Bordentown bulk waste collection from November 15th to the 20th, please contact DEH's Solid Waste Management Section at 949-6696.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're tuning in for the tail end of our show, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And again, Dr. Lee, our Chief Medical Officer in studio, just providing with just an overview update on where we are with COVID and moving forward. Now, before the break, we had a caller on the line who asked several questions. Dr. Lee, I'll let you respond to some of our questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks, ma'am, for the questions. It's difficult to be absolutely certain as to what you're pointing to on the form that you've had. When you mentioned it said positive at the top and then said not detected at the bottom. And I also I have not seen all of the test result reports from the different hospitals, so they will all present their results in a different way. But when we look for cases of positivity for SARS-CoV-2, we actually look at different parts of the virus. So we might look for a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and a little bit of that. So some people might be positive for 2 bits of the virus, but they won't be positive from the 3rd bit. And usually that might happen if they're actually towards the end of an infection. So you're not able to detect things as much. So you can see why you might get a not detected in one of the domains, but couple of the others are. But that's often the case if you also mentioned having 3 tests. Again, that suggests that somebody's at the end of an infection, because in that case, you're probably returning positives, but they're relatively weak. The really big question is whether somebody who's at the end of an infection is actually infectious. And the answer to that is they're likely not to be infectious at the end of an infection, when the virus is you're beginning to struggle to detect it at all, which means there's very little bit left to detect at all. So the important thing is you're getting better at that point. So that is good news. You also asked about the ability to look for other viruses. Some of the machines actually do look for that. So one of the because something called respiratory syncytial virus and influenza and SARS-CoV-2 are common at the minute. There are a couple of the machines on the island which will specifically have cassettes that not only look for SARS-CoV-2, but they also look for other respiratory viruses that we know are circulating. And sometimes, quite often, they come back and saying, and it's more a childhood condition, saying that somebody is positive for RSV, this respiratory syncytial virus, or positive for influenza, although I don't think we've had an influenza yet positive this year, but certainly we've had quite a bit of RSV, particularly in children or in families where there are children, and it's not been COVID. So we can do that distinction if we need to do the distinction, if it makes a clinical difference. But we've always got to decide in our minds, would it make a clinical difference? Because we're much more worried about the transmission of SARS-CoV-2, which is why we put so much effort into detection of it, rather than flu, because to be frank, it's not as lethal. The current version of flu is not as lethal as SARS-CoV-2 is. I hope that's gone in some way to answer your question. I'm sorry if I haven't hit it exactly the nail on the head, but if I could see the form, I'd be able to talk you through it and explain the details of the exact form a bit better. So apologies for that.
Thank you. We do have one other caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Yeah, hi.
Afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
A question for Dr. Lee. After 3 questions, then I'll just hang up and speak now. In an effort to support the drive to encourage the community to have a higher uptake, would it be possible, and I think this would be a great advantage to promote the vaccination drive, is to show the data as we see publicly in the newspapers and the hospital websites and such, to show the data of all persons vaccinated and their results upon testing coming into the country, as well as those organically in the country, what the results are for those vaccinated, as well as those who are unvaccinated, and the results for those tested that is coming in and organically. And so is that something that Dr. Lee would help encourage to foster a more confidence in the local community? My second question is, there's also a lacking of transparency with the ingredients of these vaccinations. There's many persons in the community for different reasons are hesitant about taking these drugs because of the uncertainty of what the ingredients are. And of course, we're seeing research data coming out saying there's different elements of things in these drugs, including baby fetuses and different things. Because, for example, the drugs are being kept at sub-zero levels, and that's very unusual for a drug that has no organic material in it. And that's essentially what I would like to get some information on to help encourage the community for a higher uptake. Thank you, gentlemen. God bless you.
Thank you so much, caller. And just a quick note, that will be our last call for the end of the show.
Thanks for the question. As far as the data, there is so much data we've collected around SARS-CoV-2. It's huge, and hopefully someday some keen PhD student will be able to look through it and get out a lot of stuff. I'm sure people can understand that we, as I've said before, and I need to say again, we have been providing as much data as we possibly can, but there is a huge data mine to provide more and more information. It is just a question of having the ability to be able to do it. If we had a massive team of epidemiologists and statisticians, as a big country would do, they can look at the huge data set from the country and provide many of the answers to your questions. But in a much smaller country, we are simply limited by the resources that we can apply, at the same time as doing everything else that we're trying to do, sort of like battling the outbreak and so on and so forth. The other, and that's a really important point, and I'm not trying to belittle your question at all. I would love to be able to provide more information because it's there if only we could pull it out. You probably know that I love figures, I love spreadsheets, I love graphs, so I think it's a really good way of sharing information. The other thing is that as far as SARS-CoV-2 is concerned, the fact of the matter is that even if you're vaccinated, we know that you can still spread the infection, even though that the ability for you to spread it is much reduced. It's 50% less if you're vaccinated, so that's great. That is some protection. With the previous variants of concern, it was even up to 80 or 85% that protection, but we know with these much more infectious ones, it's less. So the value of looking at that information is tempered somewhat by that information. As far as the ingredients are concerned, some of the vaccines, when they were initially being developed, used some early fetal material, as far as I'm aware. But this was in the development stage and it has nothing to do with the manufacture and subsequent deployment of the vaccines now. I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, there is no lack of transparency around the ingredients. That it's listed on the bottle, it's listed on the box, it's listed on the website of Pfizer, and we've given, I think it is on the government website, and I've shared the list of ingredients before, and I have no reason to believe there's anything other than what's on that list of ingredients. So I feel that matter is clear. But all different drugs go through different processes of design and manufacture, and I know that some of the vaccines have gone through steps which have made some groups uncomfortable.
Thank you. As far as the, just to follow up on that last caller's question, the available vaccines that are available in Cayman right now, can you run down that list briefly?
Yeah, so the only ones I know that are available now are the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. There are lots of other vaccines that are approved for use, so if somebody wished to import them and then use them, they would need to apply to the Medical Officer of Health for approval to deliver the vaccines as per the vaccination regulations. But there's, as far as I know, those are the only two. I don't think anybody has applied to Public Health to give out any other vaccines.
Okay. And then will Public Health?
Yeah. So, but the other ones that are approved would be the Moderna, the Janssen or Johnson & Johnson, as otherwise known, made by Johnson & Johnson, but the drug company's called Janssen, the Sinopharm and the Sinovac. So those are the four that I don't believe are on island to be used. I know some people who are on island who've had those vaccines. Sure. And then the Pfizer and the BioNTech are being deployed by Public Health.
And
Pfizer and the AstraZeneca.
Pfizer, yes, sorry.
AstraZeneca being deployed.
Will we see any deviation down the road to look at bringing those other vaccines in, or are these the two that are going to
Yeah, the Pfizer seems to be an exceedingly strong vaccine. I mean, we were really lucky that we had the chance, that the UK FCDO gave us that chance and have been providing that to us. So they provided both the Pfizer-BioNTech and the AstraZeneca, and that provides two different types of vaccine. They both have exceedingly good coverage, and as far as the government is concerned, that they're confident in those two vaccines, and so they've been very grateful to the UK for helping us with those. At some point in the future, it could well be that the UK says, okay, you're fully vaccinated, we'll leave you on your own, just as, we get our own vaccines for other diseases, for the influenza and so on. We buy them directly from PAHO, and they, at some point there, I'm sure it'll move on to more of that situation where it becomes when the disease is endemic, then they say, right, okay, you just buy them through a usual mechanism through PAHO, and we move on to that, and then we may deploy a whole range of others. But the UK have been great at the continued supply of the Pfizer.
Dr. Lee, in 2 years, on the 4-year anniversary, I'm hoping we can not say the word COVID. We're not using it anymore. It's just like it's a forgotten language.
I don't think it'll ever be a forgotten language in anybody that's over about the age of 5.
No, it's almost like the first word out of the kid's mouth now. It's no longer mommy. It's COVID. No, but Dr. Lee, thank you very much for your answers. You've been very generous with your time and answering a lot of the questions the community has. Just for our listeners' sake, if they have more questions about any of the items you raised today, how can they get in touch with HSA or best?
I think the best way to start looking is look at gov.ky/coronavirus. There's a huge amount of information there. I know people don't go to look, but even if you're not internet savvy, if you can ask somebody to print out some pages there, you'll find a phenomenal amount of information there, where almost everything you'd need to know that's either Cayman specific or actually much more broadly based is there to give you guidance.
Thank you very much, Ken. Any last words before you? I'm hoping we get to see you again before you head back in case. Anything you want to say?
Nothing. It's just do go forward and take your booster, because that, going back to that 95% protection, sure. It's a phenomenal amount of protection. It's made me feel like I've got my shield is really up and it's strong, and it might save your life.
Thank you. They should put a Captain America shield on the box to make it, more attractive. On that note, thank you again, Dr. Lee.
Thanks very much.
On that note, we do need to call it a wrap for today's show. Thank you again to all of our loyal listeners out there in Radio Cayman Nation, and our guest, Miss Cayman, Miss Georgina Kerford, and we wish her safe travels as she heads off to Israel next week. To Meals on Wheels, good luck with their event this weekend, and of course to Dr. Lee, thank you so much again. On behalf of the entire Radio Cayman family, thank you for sharing your afternoon with us. I'm Raymond Singh. God bless, and have a safe rest of your Tuesday.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside